Stoke Mandeville Hospital. That's the latest. I'm Kevin Gover.
The Jazz FM Money Minute.
Well, security firm G4S has revealed the security debacle at London 2012 has cost the company £50 million after it failed to recruit and train enough of the guards it had promised. The government was forced to turn to the military for extra staff, for which G4S confirms it'll pay. However, James Hughes from the trading floor of Alpari says the Olympics fiasco could affect business beyond the £50 million loss.
The issue that this will now cause will be the reputational damage that G4S will suffer on the back of it. Of course, it will be a reliability issue, and of course, if the biggest contract they've ever had has gone wrong for them, then it will make a lot of other parties think twice.
Shares in Samsung have tumbled after the company was ordered to pay rival Apple more than $1 billion for breaching patents. Samsung says it'll contest the verdict, although Apple has now asked the courts to ban 8 Samsung mobile phones in the US. The FTSE closed the day just down 1 point at 5,776. I'm Johnny Hart.
The Jazz FM Money Minute. Jazz Travels with Robbie Vincent on Jazz FM in partnership with Virgin Holidays Cruises. Start your cruise holiday with style in our exclusive V-Room airport lounges in Gatwick and Manchester.
Jazz FM, listen in colour.
Robbie Vincent, it's Jazz Travels. That means travel. It means music from soul to jazz to the blues. I'm delighted to say our guest this week is Hamish Stewart. And you might say, average white band. Well, I tell you what, it's a lot more than the average white band. This is a man with impeccable music history pedigree, and he'll be taking us travelling too. Hamish, do you ever get fed up with playing Pick Up the Pieces?
I don't treat it with any respect, so I'm fine about playing it. We usually just kind of jam it, and I've played it in very different situations. I did a little tour with some friends of mine, a guy Gordon Haskell and Robbie McIntosh was a guitar player that I worked with Paul McCartney, and we did a version with 3 guitars, which was really interesting. It was fun.
So the answer to my question is, if you vary it enough, you can stand it.
And as I say, don't have too much respect for it. Just it doesn't have to start the old way or end in any particular.
Let me take you right back, though, to those early days. You joined the Average White Band in the 1970s. But what had you been listening to? What were your influences? Because I always found it fascinating that a Scottish collective of musicians should be so American influenced and quite funky. Well, you weren't quite you were very funky for the 70s coming out of the UK. What on earth had you been listening to?
Well, it came from all angles. I'd been listening to right before the White Band started. I'd been listening to a lot of Sly Stone, particularly There's a Riot Going On and Fresh. Those 2 records were astonishing, I thought, and a lot of Aretha. I love Aretha. She's still great. And the records that Arif Mardin produced with Jerry Wexler, the things with Young, Gifted and Black and stuff like that on it, and also Stevie was just beginning right. What was about 1970 when Music of My Mind came out? What's Going On as well. And
what about when you? What about at home in the Scottish family situation? What were you exposed to? And everybody I talked to, I get really surprised as to the sort of things they would have been listening to.
Well, I mean, early, the first Sam Cooke. I remember, things like Cupid and stuff like that. Those were the records that were amazing.
Had you been exposed to jazz as well?
No. There was a little bit of jazz on television occasionally late at night, but that was about all. I really hadn't been exposed to jazz at that point. My background was pop music and R&B, and a lot of Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, all the Stax things, all the Motown things. That was the stuff, and the Chicago stuff. I mean, don't mean Chicago the group. I mean the music like the Impressions and people like that.
So you're a bit of an old soul boy then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I try to reason. I tell myself you'll return, but you're gone. I know you're gone. You were mine for only a minute, and if I hurt your child, I didn't intend it, and you're gone away. I can tell in my mind that you're not going to stay, and yet I think sometimes that I've lost you. Yes, I've lost you, and you're gone away. Forgive and forget it. That's not what I'll ask you to do, though I want you back. Child, I want you back. And in conclusion, And yet I think sometimes that I've lost you. Yes, I've lost you. And you're gone away. Gone away. I find I've lost my only prized possession, and you're gone away. I keep telling my mind that you're not going to stay, and yet I think sometimes that I've lost you. Yes, I've lost you, and you're gone away.
An Old Soul Boy picks a track written by Curtis Mayfield and also one of Hamish's heroes, Donny Hathaway. Gone away the impressions. Robbie Vincent, Jazz Travels. Our guest is a man really with an impeccable music history pedigree. Not forgetting, you know, the Average White Band with a lot of other Atlantic artists were at the Montreux Jazz Festival in 1976. And next week you could hear the Montreux Jazz Festival version of Pick Up the Pieces. Now tell us about joining the Average White Band, because you mentioned Arif Mardin, and we'll talk more about him later, because he has been a major influence for you. Yeah, yeah. What a man to meet. But let's just go back to the Average White Band. And the other thing is, why aren't you still a drummer?
That's a good one, that, isn't it? No, I'll tell you, that is... I'll have to get onto Wikipedia and tell them to correct that, because other related things, somebody from Wellington got in touch with me by email and said, "I remember we went to school together." And I said, no, because I didn't grow up in Wellington. I grew up in Glasgow. You know, there's a Hamish Stewart who's a Kiwi drummer who lives in Australia now, I think. And there's one that's an actor. There's a Hamish Stewart that's an actor as well, I think you'll find, who turns up, if you just were to Google Hamish Stewart, he turns up on one of those salacious "who's he dating" pages, and he ain't you. Yeah. No,
well, it's
I don't think so.
You know, like the National Enquirer, sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Yeah,
you know, who is he dating? So are you saying that you never were a drummer?
In my dreams, yeah. In my dreams. I mean, I'd love to play the drums.
Because when I read that, I have to say, I thought, I never remember Hamish Stewart.
I know, exactly. It's just great. And it's right at the start of the Wikipedia page.
That's right, it is.
Somebody told me about it, and I had to go and look at it. It opens it, it's one sentence, and then it jumps.
Yeah, and it also says you wrote for Smokey Robinson, which I know you didn't.
No,
right, we got that out of the way. Hamish Stewart has never been a drummer. He has always played the guitar. So tell us about joining the Average White Band. You were in London.
Yeah.
And had you fled Scotland, I mean that in the nicest possible way, because musical opportunities were much greater in the capital city.
I mean, there were no recording studios in Scotland. We did try a couple of places, but they were absolutely hopeless. So back then you had to, before home recording and all the rest of it, and technology enabled people to not have to go anywhere, and studios became more studio equipment became more available. You had to come to London to make records. So that's what we did in 1969. I came down with some friends of mine, a group called the Dream Police, and we did about 3 or 4 singles for Decca. Couldn't get an album happening, and I started another group, and that wasn't working. And then the opportunity to join the White Band came up. They'd been going for a couple of months, and it's actually 40 years ago last month that I joined the group, and we went. This time, 40 years ago, we were in LA in the studio already. We got called to do this Bonnie Bramlett solo album that she was doing. So things moved very quickly once we got going.
The gap between Glasgow, London, 3 singles, joining the Average White Band, and then jetting into Los Angeles, that's an enormous change. And you said this is in a real
just a couple of years, yeah.
In a really very short time. As a young man, were you able to handle all that?
It was very exciting, yeah. It was all exciting, and particularly once the White Band started, things happened very, very quickly for us as a group. You know, we were in the right place at the right time. Things started to happen, so it was an exciting time, and the music was exciting. We were writing really interesting stuff. It was all happening.
Robbie Vincent, it's Jazz Travels on Jazz FM. Our guest is Hamish Stewart. Some Average White Band music after the break.
Jazz Travels on Jazz FM in partnership with Virgin Holidays Cruises. Start your cruise holiday with style in our exclusive V-Room airport lounges in Gatwick and Manchester.
Jazz FM.
With the latest traffic and travel news when you need it, 7 days a week.
I'm Simon Temby with the latest Jazz FM traffic and travel. The northbound side of the M6 in Lancashire has a lane closed because of repairs after a lorry caught fire last night at around 9:20. The matrix signs are set to 50 miles an hour and lanes closed off from the Broughton interchange at junction 32 to Goldgate at 33. North on the M1 through West Yorkshire, lanes closed because of an accident involving a lorry and a crane from Durka at 39 to Flushdyke at 40, with queues back to Woolley at junction 38 and the matrix sign set to 40 miles an hour. North on the M1 through Derbyshire, you'll find traffic slow as you head out from junction 25 to 26 at the Nottingham and Eastwood turn. And on the M20 on the coastbound side through Kent, 2 lanes are closed because of an accident around junction 8. 0500 59 27 27.
Jazz FM. Listening colour.
The answer to your prayers. The answer to diabolical fuel prices. The Volkswagen Transporter Blue Motion. The most fuel-efficient van in its class. Saving you time and money at the pumps. Now waiting for you at, well, the answer is your local van centre. The question is, can you afford not to get the Volkswagen Transporter? Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles. Let's go to work.
Based on the Transporter Blue Motion T27 short wheelbase 2-litre TDI 114 PS, achieves 44.8 combined MPG.
Jazz FM.
And now, a postcard from Virgin Holidays Cruises on Jazz Travels, with one of the many great trips you can experience with a team who bring you more with Rockstar Service, where you can combine brilliant land-based stays with ultimate nautical adventures. The Caribbean.
Welcome to paradise. Discover a kaleidoscope of colours, cultures and exotic coastlines as you make your way around the Caribbean on a Virgin Holidays cruise that you could only dream of. On a 14-day Caribbean Islands cruise, you could take in, amongst others, Montego Bay in Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, St. Kitts with its UNESCO World Heritage Fortress, Antigua, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, ending at Bridgetown in Barbados. What better way to tour the Caribbean without having to pack and unpack? Imagine all the charming colonial streets and the mouth-watering Caribbean cuisine at your disposal when you take a trip ashore. If you thought that being on board a ship could get boring, then think again. Of course, you could do absolutely nothing if that's what you want to do. Or you could pack your days full of activities, ride the slides in the pool, scale the climbing wall, or take in a game of golf. When you've worn yourself out, relax on a sunbed, indulge yourself in the spa, browse in the library, or catch a film.
To find out more about this and many other cruises in various parts of the world on offer to you from Virgin Holidays Cruises, go to the Virgin Holidays Cruises website. Details can be found at jazzfm.com.
Now you can afford a celebrity smile with London City Smiles, the world-class dental clinic on Islington High Street just opposite Angel Tube.
All our dentists are highly qualified and we offer a stress-free environment with unrivaled experience.
Our wrinkle-relaxing injections and dermal fillers start at £180.
Invisalign, clear clear braces from £2,100.
And combined in-surgery and home whitening just £410.
London City Smiles. Look your best for a summer to remember.
Call now to arrange your free consultation.
020 7837 2300.
Visit us online at londoncitysmiles.com
or pop in and see us on Islington High Street, just opposite Angel Tube.
London City Smiles.
Jazz FM. Discover the music.
You got
The Average White Band, Queen of My Soul, and my guest Hamish Stewart doing lead vocals on that. And you know, the choir in the background included his old mate Jim Mullen, another Scotsman. We'll hear from Jim later on. And two people, here's a bit of trivia for you, David and Eddie Brigati from the Young Rascals. Not bad getting them for backing vocals, hey. 40 years ago, around about now, he would have been in Los Angeles, having joined the White Band in London. And he would have been a younger man than he is now. Any regrets about that little bit? Or can you still clearly remember being so excited?
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Let's move on.
It was an amazing time.
Good. Before we move to Los Angeles, how is it that a group of guys in London found themselves being jetted out to Los Angeles?
Well, it's another little piece in the puzzle of luck and happenstance that makes these kind of things happen. You know, everybody being in the right place at the right time and then having the right guy come along who had been a road manager for Eric Clapton, who knew the guy who was managing the band at the time, a guy called Bruce McCaskill. And Bruce knew Bonnie Bramlett, and Bonnie was making a solo record. She'd just split up with Delaney. So he said, look, I've got this great band here, you know, and before we knew it, we were in LA working with, you know, Bobby Womack and Freddie Stone and hanging out with Little Feat and hearing all this amazing music and meeting all these great musicians. And they were really open. All the musicians we met were great. They really embraced us and took us on board.
But it's very much musical, or musicians can be a very tight-knit family, can't they? Because you do have this instant bond.
Yeah, I guess so. But
I mean, you don't all love each other. I know there's competition, and even musicians produce some pretty nasty people. But to generalise, you have really common ground. Like guitarists share guitar stories, don't they? Yeah. Drummers share drummer stories, and
they're always talking about sticks and drum heads, and saxophone players are always going on about mouthpieces and reeds. You know, oh, it's a Berg Larsen number 12 with a, you know, that's great. You hear them when they get together. It's really funny.
Now, what happened in America then? Here you are. You must have been, I know you're modest, but you must have been pretty good players for America and Los Angeles in particular to embrace you like they did and let you play in studios or called you to play in studios. You must have been pretty good.
Well, I think collectively we were very good at that point. Maybe individually not so good. We've all become a lot more proficient over the years, but the star was Robbie McIntosh, the drummer, the original drummer, who really pulled everything together. He had a kind of an arranger's mind. So it was the first time somebody ever said to me, don't play that, no, don't play there, no. And you take it on board, and it was a very steep learning curve. It was very quick, but it was great, and he taught everybody a lot. He was the youngest of us, but he was the most mature musician. And Molly and Roger, the two sax players, were both really good players. You know, I was kind of an adequate guitar player, and Oni was really good guitar player. Alan, fine bass player and a singer. So the sum of the parts really was what it was about.
You mentioned Robbie McIntosh, and of course that would have been the low period forever of the experience when he died.
Absolutely. And 5 months later, the album and the single were number one, and it was hard to celebrate. You know, it was like, you know, it's like one of our number wasn't there. It was very tough, and it affected everybody very, very deeply for years to come. Because we were close, you know. We were
Was he, and I don't want to use the word victim, but I can't think of another one. Was he a victim of circumstances? Was he a victim of that's what it was like in those days? How
a little of both, and a victim of fatigue as well. We'd had an amazing week. We were playing like 2 hour-and-a-half sets each night, you know, or 2 hour sets. They were stretching, and the place was packed. we were the hottest ticket in town. You know, it was like everybody was coming out to see us, and we'd go out to dinner afterwards and go out drinking, going to clubs, and everybody was knackered at the end of the week, basically, and that was when it happened. So it was a combination of many things.
What did happen?
We went to a party. We were invited to the party up in the Hollywood Hills after the gig finished, and we all trooped up there. And somebody gave Robbie something that wasn't right. It wasn't, and
you still find
chaos ensued.
Yeah, you still find that you obviously still find this very, very difficult to talk about.
It is difficult. There's a lot of distance now. It's a lot easier to talk about than it was for a long, long time. But time is it never goes away.
And what were you playing at the time? You're talking about big sets, and what tunes were you playing then?
We were playing, basically most of the White Album. Things like Pick Up the Pieces and Person to Person. All the songs that were on that first Atlantic record. Plus Put It Where You Want It, which was part of our repertoire there.
And I could make you mine.
Jazz FM, Robbie Vincent with Jazz Travels. Put It Where You Want It by the Average White Band. An Average White Band track co-written with Joe Sample of the Crusaders. We'll be back with some Scotland, and I mean a trip around Scotland after the break.
Jazz Travels on Jazz FM in partnership with Virgin Holidays Cruises. Home of the cruise and stay experience with a city or beach break on top.
Jazz FM.
With the latest traffic and travel news when you need it, 7 days a week.
I'm Simon Tenby with the latest Jazz FM traffic and travel. The northbound side of the M6 in Lancashire has a lane closed because of repairs after a lorry caught fire last night at around 9:20. The matrix signs are set to 50 miles an hour and lanes closed off from the Broughton interchange at junction 32 to Goldgate at 33. North on the M1 through West Yorkshire, lanes closed because of an accident involving a lorry and a crane from Durka at 39 to Fishdyke at 40, with queues back to Woolley at junction 38 and the matrix sign set to 40 miles an hour. North on the M1 through Derbyshire, you'll find traffic slow as you head out from junction 25 to 26 at the Nottingham and Eastwood turn. And on the M20 on the coastbound side through Kent, 2 lanes are closed because of an accident around junction 8. 0500 59 27 27.
Jazz FM. Listening colour.
The answer to your prayers. The answer to getting the van you've always wanted. The Volkswagen Caddy from just £199 a month with a £400 deposit contribution. Available with optional fuel-saving Blue Motion technology. The answer is at your local van centre. The question is, can you afford not to get the Volkswagen Caddy? Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles. Let's go to work.
Terms and conditions apply. Business users only. Based on 36-month, 30,000-mile hire agreement. Excludes VAT and initial rental. Subject to availability until September 30th. Volkswagen Finance.
Jazz FM.
At Lexus, we don't believe in one or the other. A yin should have a yang. Why choose between this or that? Enjoy a sumptuous interior and up to 68.9 miles per gallon. The latest technology and just £79 per month company car tax. Luxury and efficiency. Discover the compact Lexus CT at lexus.co.uk. Lexus. Creating amazing.
Hello?
Oh, hi, darling. What are you doing at the moment?
Why?
I wonder what you were wearing.
I'm wearing dungarees. I'm defrosting the freezer.
Well, get yourself dressed up then, because I'm taking you out for a special dinner.
Oh, darling! Where?
Bruges, Antwerp, Ghent, Ostend, anywhere in Flanders. So to win a weekend for two to Flanders, go to www.visitflanders.co.uk/foodisparadise.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to make a family home just a little bit better? Imagine having access to amazing TV that you can't get anywhere else. And being able to watch what you want, when you want. Or if you could watch that great TV on your laptop or iPhone. And if it came with reliable broadband and calls too. And imagine if all that cost $21.50 a month. Wouldn't that be brilliant? To treat your home to great Sky TV with Sky Plus, Sky Go and Sky Broadband and calls for $21.50 a month, go to sky.com/imagine. Sky. Believe in better.
£14.50 per month. Skyline rental payable. Sky network areas only. Inclusive calls at weekends to 010203 and 0870 numbers. Sky Plus box required. Router setup costs and usage caps apply. Minimum and further terms apply.
We'd like to take a moment to introduce you to the BMW 1 Series Efficient Dynamics. The first BMW that's designed to be ignored. Efficient Dynamics combines exhilarating performance with our best fuel economy yet. So efficient, in fact, that it's ignored by the DVLA when it comes to road tax. But what's hard to ignore is the perfectly engineered price. Find out more about BMW economics. Book a test drive at bmw.co.uk or text BMW to 61100.
Thanks to Virgin Holidays Cruises, there's a chance for you to experience the trip of a lifetime with a 14-night Mexico stay and Caribbean cruise. Fly Virgin Atlantic to Mexico and stay 6 nights in the Riviera Maya, one of Mexico's most exciting regions. While you're there, discover ancient temples, exotic jungles, and an endless coastline of stunning white beaches. Then embark on the impressive Norwegian Star for a fantastic itinerary around some of the most beautiful and memorable ports in the Caribbean. Once you return to Riviera Maya, you'll have another night before flying back with Virgin Atlantic. To win this amazing holiday with Virgin Holidays Cruises, go to jazzfm.com right now. Virgin Holidays Cruises, where rockstar service really is part of the experience.
Jazz FM. Discover the music.
Robbie Vincent, Jazz Travels. That means good music and travel too. Robbie looking after the programme until Sarah Ward is better. And the latest news is she's improving, when we're absolutely delighted to hear that and continue to wish her well. My guest is Hamish Stewart, and the track you heard was Medication by Jim Mullen. We can't let a Scotsman not go to Scotland. I'm a late discoverer of Scotland. I absolutely...
Me too.
I absolutely adore it. And the Dutch say it's the last sort of wild place in Europe. And I've thought about it. It probably is in a way.
It is, particularly sort of up the west coast. Once you get north of probably 80 miles out of Glasgow, it gets pretty wild.
When you say you're a late discoverer of Scotland, despite the fact you're Scottish and came from Glasgow, is that because music took you away from Scotland?
Yeah, at such an early age. And when I came back, occasionally I'd just go and visit my family in Glasgow, and then they moved up to the west coast as my mother and father got older, they moved out of Glasgow and they moved up to Tarbert Loch Fyne. So that would be my spot then, and that's when I started to see more of the West Coast and go further north. I mean, I knew the West Coast, the Ayrshire coast and Largs and Prestwick and Troon and all those places from holidays when I was a kid, but I'd never been to Skye until Jim and I went and played a little festival up there about 10 years ago. And then a couple of years ago me and my partner went up and did Skye for a week, and then out to Lewis and Harris, and then came back through Ullapool and went up to Cape Wrath and back down. That was astonishing. It's beautiful. I love it.
Hamish made that visit to Scotland sound so attractive. I thought we'd get Ruth Christie from Visit Scotland to explain the practicalities of following in his footsteps.
I suppose the easiest way would be to drive. There's some amazing scenic routes. The roads are quite small once you get up north. Lots of them are single track, with little passing places, but it's the most amazing opportunity to look out and see this changing landscape and see the wildlife. To get up to Skye from Edinburgh probably would take you about 4 hours driving, and you're going to pass through the Cairngorm National Park, which is so mountainous, and then suddenly you'll find yourself in a landscape full of lochs, and you arrive on Skye. Skye's actually joined to the mainland by a bridge, so you no longer need to take a ferry, but there's a tiny little ferry boat which leads you onto Glenelg on Skye, and it's so small that it only fits 2 cars, but there's a little man that takes the ferry every day with his dog. It's a really great chance, if you have it, to experience Skye from the other side. What really draws people to Skye is the scenery. It's amazing. If you go up to the north, you're going to see some unbelievable cliff tops and rock formations. There's one in particular called the Old Man of Storr, which is right at the top of Skye, and it's really famous, and you see this kind of craggy man shape forming out of the rock. It's really stunning. But actually there's lots of hidden gems. There's an area called the Fairy Glen that not many people know about, and if you find yourself there, it's absolutely marvellous. These strange shaped hills sort of emerge from the landscape. They look a bit like if you were getting ice cream, sort of whipped ice cream, but they're green, obviously. It's to do with the peat that's in the earth and the way it sinks down, and it just looks like you've walked into a fairy tale. It's absolutely stunning. Skye is really known for its crafts. This year is actually a celebration of creativity in Scotland, and there's 2 craft trails on Skye which take you around local producers, jewellery makers, people that weave. Oh, it's absolutely stunning.
So what about somewhere to stay on Skye?
Skye's really famous for its bed and breakfasts. They're scattered all over, so if you had wanted to be somewhere with a few more amenities, maybe you would stay in Portree, which is the main town on Skye, and it's really known for its pretty harbour, which has these lovely pastel coloured cottages all around the harbour. But there's so many bed and breakfasts and little hotels in crofts or in country houses all over.
If you just joined us on Jazz Travels, Hamish Stewart of the Average White Band has given us a trip across Scotland, and to get the practicalities of it and to make sure we miss nothing, I've asked Ruth Christie to guide us along his footpath, and his footpath takes us from Skye to... Where should we go next, Ruth?
If I were to recommend somewhere, I think I would say the Outer Hebrides. They're a really long chain of islands to the west of Scotland, and you can catch a ferry really regularly from Skye over to Lewis, which is at the top of the chain. It's known as the Long Island because actually it's one big landmass, but in fact the locals consider it two different islands. Lewis is really known for its wildlife. You have the chance to see otters and seals and sea eagles, whereas Harris is really known for its textile heritage and its creativity. Harris tweed is woven there. The funny thing is, when you walk around, you don't immediately notice what's going on, but in lots of people's houses, in their gardens, in their sheds, they're working away, weaving the tweed. It's fantastic. The colours of the landscape are really inspirational, and you see it coming through in all the crafts on the islands. I mean, I really think so much of what makes Scotland special is its wilderness. It's so empty, it's so unspoiled, it's filled just with clean air and calmness. The islands are really sparsely populated, in fact. I mean, there are towns here and there and crofts all over the place, but it's really not, for all that it has this industry, it's not certainly not a busy place.
And somewhere else that's not busy is the final point of Hamish Stewart's Scottish trip, and that's Cape Wrath.
So Cape Wrath has a lighthouse, which is unbelievable. If you were to find yourself at the lighthouse, you have this view out over the ocean, which is incredible. It's really stunning. I think when you stand there, you can forget everything, forget everyday life. It's really just wild and natural, and you could feel like the only person left in Scotland. It's really magical, actually, to have that experience in Cape Wrath. And because it's not really on the traditional tourist trail, maybe, I think you feel like you're discovering something really special.
Our thanks to Ruth Christie from Visit Scotland. Now, if you want more details, go to visitscotland.com/surprise for more information and to help on booking your trip. And if you go, enjoy that beautiful, beautiful part of the UK. We've got some more Average White Band music. This is A Love of Your Own, co-written by my guest Hamish Stewart and Nadini. A Love of Your Own, the Average White Band. More from the Average White Band and our guest Hamish Stewart next week on Jazz Travels. And travelling, we'll be dropping into Sicily. After the news, it's Dinner Jazz with Helen Mayhew.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to make a family home just a little bit better? Imagine having access to amazing TV that you can't get anywhere else. And being able to watch what you